So today we're going to be talking about NCIS. Now, NCIS is a TV series. It's not NCIS New Orleans. It's yes, I said that like that. I apologize for anybody who's from New Orleans who heard me say New Orleans. But I've heard it only one way in my life, and New Orleans. New Orleans, New Orleans, New Orleans. I don't know. I'm probably saying it wrong, but New Orleans or NCIS Chicago, I think, or New York, or whatever the other one is. I'm not trying to be mean. I just can't remember it. Or NCIS Hawaii. This is just regular NCIS. It's with Agent Gibbs and McGee and Tony and Ziva and Kate. And yes, I'm naming some of the characters that are no longer in the show, but we're going to start back in the beginning. When we originally started this show, we only had the two main characters of Tony and Gibbs. And of course, you had Ducky, who was the ME, with his assistant Gerald. And then you had Kate, who was who was from the Secret Service, and she joined the team in season 1. And then you had McGee, who also ended up joining the team, I think, in season 1 too, either season 1 or season 2, one of the two. But he joins the team, and you see them go on this journey of beating bad guys and losing Kate to Aerie, and you see Arie's sister coming, Ziva, and you see Ziva join the group, and she starts, her own journey with the team. She was an assassin. Sorry. I'm a Texan, and I have a little bit of a speech impediment, so assassin is not part of my speech. But assassin, she is an assassin who came from Israel, and I think it's Israel. Pretty sure it was Israel. I could be wrong. But anyway, she came from over there to help, well, not help, but to stop them from killing Aerie, her half-brother. And as you're watching the show, you're like, well, how do you know he's your half-brother if he wasn't raised with you? And apparently when they were doing his background is like the father was never there for Aerie and all this, and apparently his half-sister her father was never involved with her half-brother knows about him, and he's part of this group, of being part of their government, and she's his handler and all this, and you're like, okay, there's something not going right here. And as you're watching this, you see Ziva go through some pretty hard things, like, her and Tony, were like brother and sisters in the beginning, and then they started falling in love. You didn't really expect it, or at least I didn't. Maybe I took a little longer than most to catch up with it, but I didn't really see the brother-sister connection until, I want to say, or not brother-sister connection, but the love connection until maybe season 5, 4 or 5. Maybe 6. 4 or 5 or 6, I might have started noticing the love triangle. Not love triangle, but the love between the two. And so, when Ziva loses her dad, She loses a lot of people in this series. That she fell in love with the guy who wore orange cap that ends up dying of poisoning, and then she falls in love with a CIA agent who ends up being double crossing the Ray, and then she falls in love with somebody else, and then somebody else on top of that, and she was falling in love with the wrong people. And then she loses her dad. And on top of, her losing her dad, Vance loses his wife. Yes, I forgot somebody. I forgot the director in the beginning of this show was NCIS director Jimmy Shepard, who died in a... Sorry, I gotta pick up the baby. But anyways, NCIS director Jimmy Shepard, who died in California, I think, at a desert bar in a shootout with Mike Franks. Those of you who don't know who Mike Franks is, you need to watch the show. He's Gibbs' mentor. He was the one that got Gibbs into NCIS. And, you learn secrets about the team. You learn Gibbs had an original family, Kelly and Shannon, who got killed by a Mexican cartel guy because they saw something that they weren't supposed to. And then Gibson goes and kills that guy, and then you see Gibbs do a lot of things. Like he takes in this group of people and brings them into his family. When Kate died, that was like he was losing his own kid at that point again. And then when Ziva left NCIS, he was losing another daughter. And so when they had the explosion and they learned Trent Court, pretty much betrayed them, and that the house that she was supposed to be staying in blew up, and that it blew up, and there was one survivor, and they thought it was that maybe Zia survived. No, it was their daughter Tally. Tony's and her daughter Tally. And as you're watching this, you're like, how could she not tell Tony that she was pregnant? But you're like, well, you can kind of understand this too. She didn't want him to give up the job he loved to take care of them and all that, and she didn't want to make them feel like a burden to him. And I also think she still had a mentality of, I don't need a guy to help raise my baby. And so as you're watching this, you learn some pretty hard truths about each one of them. I mean, you learn McGee wrote books about the team under a pseudonym. I'm saying that wrong. I know I am. But basically, he wrote about the team under a secret name, Tommy Jim City. And then they learned about his sister and his father, the admiral. And then they learned about Tony and his dad. And of course, we already know about Ziva. But as you watch Tony go and search Ziva before the daughter thing, you see him learn stuff about her, like where she lived as a child. And you also see in other montages of the show that, she had they had a little sister, Tally. Tolly? Tally. I think it was Tolly. And that died, and That was what their daughter was named after, who her namesake was. And so, you learn in one of the flashbacks that she was actually raised with Ari. Ari, I think I'm saying it. Ari, whatever. It's however you want to pronounce it, our name. And anyways, as you watch this show, and it's a really engaging show. If you want to watch something that just grips your attention, and for me, that's kind of hard. That you have to be really paying attention to these things. When she left, they brought in Bishop, and then Bishop started her own journey into this, and then Torres came in after. Oh, I forgot who left. No, I think that was when Tony left. Torres came in to, basically fill in a spot when Tony left. McGee became the senior agent of the NCIS, and as you're watching the show, you really learn about these characters, and you fall in love with them, and you're like, how could they do this to the poor people? Because you see Ellie go through a pretty nasty divorce. Well, not, I guess it wasn't nasty, but the circumstances under it was pretty harsh. He cheated on her, and it was pretty much over. She started to find love again after that. Loses him to a battle, or not to a battle, but to a to a shootout, and then she falls in love with Torres, and then she ends up going and training under this lady that I forgot the name of. I'll probably remember it later. But goes and trains train underneath her, and she has to leave Nick behind because she has to leave her whole world behind to do this circuit mission stuff that she's going to go do. And so, yeah, tell them about it. So, as you watch, you see the characters grow, and you see, like Jimmy Palmer, you see him grow the most in this whole series. You see him go from this shy, nerdy type of guy to the very secure Dr. Palmer he is now. And then, when Abby left the series, they got Casey who came in, and Casey's going through her own thing of, yeah, tell them about it. When they were at the shootout, and when they were, when she was held at knife point, and, she's going through some stuff. And, Palmer just lost his wife, and, of course, he went through the shootout and the hostage situation at the diner that Casey went through, and I mean, it's a really interesting and intriguing show, and I suggest you watch it. And I've skipped a lot, Gibbs left the team. They have this new guy, Parker, who joined their team as I guess the team leader of the group, and he seems to be fitting in okay, and Torres is starting to feel like he's being left out of the group, like no one really needs him, and why does it matter that if he's there or not? I mean, they go through their own truths and their own falls, but it seems like they work it out. They're in their own way, the family. And it's good to know that they're normal. On that end, we're going to end on season 19. I know I missed a lot, but most people who know the show know that they arrest bad people, they help release good ones, they help stop bombings, they help solve mysteries and help bring justice to those that need it. And then all in all, it's a good heartwarming show.